What's going on, everybody, man? Again, thank you all for taking the time to tune in and watching the videos. You know, we did this before. We got big TJ in the house, man. And last time TJ was on the channel, we talked about the full card. Well, we're bringing back that same thing, man. TJ, real quick, man, what's been going on with you, man? How is the excitement level for this fight? Again, this fight was moved because Tyson Fury injury. Do you have that same excitement still for this card? How you feeling about it?
I mean, well, first, thanks for having me on again. You know, I love talking boxing with you. There's only a handful of us that are like that hardcore that we can just, talk about all these fights. But I mean, it almost seems surreal because for how long have we wanted an undisputed champion, or just to get Tyson Fury in the ring? It seems like he's retired today, and then he's got 5 fights lined up tomorrow. It's really hard to put your finger. It's almost like we don't believe it until the bell rings for the first round. But yeah, it's kind of just
seriously.
surreal. Like, yeah, it's like a historical moment too, in the first undisputed four belt era. Like, and we know these two are like the best. Not like they just happen to have the belts. I mean, they seem like the number 1 and number 2 in the division. So it's an amazing fight.
Man, let's work our way up, man. Obviously, you know, so much in boxing specifically. People already got their minds made up on one way or the other, right? So, and again, when I started the channel, I didn't just want to go off my own biasness. So that's why when we can do this, it's more of a conversation and try to bring the whole entirety spectrum of the fight. So let's start here, man. Let's start with Mark Chamberlain versus Joshua Wahab, man. What do you think about this fight, man? How do you think this one goes? Where do you lean towards? And just give me your general kind of breakdown and prediction of how this one will unfold to you.
I was watching some Joshua Wahab fights earlier. I mean, you know what? For somebody I never heard of, which is typically pretty rare, like if I haven't heard of a fighter,
yeah, seriously.
We watch a lot of boxing, so I'm like, who's Joshua Wahab? I looked him up, some tape. There's not much tape out there. He's good. He's actually big, strong, very good fundamentals. You can see he carries power.
Yeah.
I noticed though he's not a lightweight, so he's coming up in weight. The one fight I really wanted to get a hold of, and I just couldn't find it, was his fight recently with Liam Dillon. And we know Liam Dillon just fought this weekend. It seemed like it was close on the cards, but I really wanted to get a hold of that. I haven't been able to find it. But he seems like a solid guy, and I'm curious if this fight goes past 5 or 6 rounds, how Chamberlain is going to adjust. Because I rate Mark Chamberlain. I like Mark Chamberlain a lot. You know, out of the UK, you have 2 solid prospects. I'll probably even call them contenders, right? Mark Chamberlain and Sam Noakes. I'll call them contenders because if they fought Saturday, I'd favor them both probably to beat Kambosos. And I'd go even one step further. If they fought next week against Denise Barancek, I'd probably favor them against Denise Barancek for the WBO world title. You know, they're very solid fighters. Mark Chamberlain specifically, what he did to Gavin Gwynn in his last fight, and he's got a quick turnaround. So he's on the Saudi Arabia card. I mean, we know Turkey loves him. He asked for him specifically last fight, so he's in this fight. But I think it's I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than the Gavin Gwynn fight, to be honest. I still he's big at the weight. He's a big, strong southpaw, Mark Chamberlain. He's very offensive minded. It just got me a little curious if how strong is Joshua, because if he can take those shots, I want to see if there's a little adversity, how Chamberlain's going to look in the second half.
Man, I think that's the thing too, is like when you have guys, because Wahab is Ghanaian, right? So there's not a whole bunch of tape on him, at least not recently. I'm saying that's the worst, because you never really want to judge a fighter off like 5 years ago. In the competition that he's faced, like it's very, I never want to be disrespectful, like it's very modest, right? Like it's not great, it's not good, it's kind of fighting in your own country. But the level that he fought Liam Dillon in, it was a close fight. Like one judge had it a draw, another judge had it like 113, 115, and then there's always one judge who sees it much wider. I think he had it 111, 117. But he does have that right hand, man. He doesn't throw a whole bunch of punches in like between rounds. So that kind of worries me a little bit for him, because Chamberlain coming off his last fight, like as you and I have talked before, man, sometimes it's how you win a fight that speaks more volume, right? And he just beat upon Gwen like from the start. And he's a lot more physical than I thought that he actually was. Like, especially coming into that one, I'm not going to say I didn't rate him, but I wasn't really high on him like that. But the performance that I saw in his last fight, man, dominant from start to jump. He's just a good, solid fighter across the board. He's got good speed, got good pop in his shots, pressure, consistency. Man, he had Gwen like shelling up anytime that Gwen wasn't close. And if he looks like how he looked in his last fight, continuing to this fight, he should dominate this fight within 6 rounds. The thing is, when you're fighting kind of that wild card like a Wahab, is like you're not sure what you're gonna get. Like he might come out and overperform and over deliver, because when you got decent pop, man, got to respect that, even if your record isn't stellar, because you never want to walk into a shot. And I don't think that Chamberlain respected Gwen in that fight, man. He didn't really care. He felt like he knew he was going to win and he could take what was coming back at him. So I'm very interested. I think it's a very sink or swim fight for Wahab. But now Mark Chamberlain now, right? When you have Turki Al-Sheikh saying, man, he's like my favorite fighter, that's the level of pressure that is now on you, even though you're not the main event fighter. But it's like, yo, if he likes you and you continue winning, there's some really massive paydays.
He co-signed you. Yeah, you got the top guy co-signing you, so now you're expected to deliver.
So you're not walking underneath the shadows or this underdog. Like, you're here to put on a spectacular show. On this card, you are expected to kind of, dominate and maybe even steal the night. I just think Chamberlain's I'm going to say he's going to stop him within 7, bro. Wahib's got to throw enough. I think he's going to be wary of the power. And I don't know. He seems more of a boxer to me. I don't think he wants to mix it up on the inside and deal with that pressure. But Chamberlain looked big in his last fight, bro. And he's probably going to look the same. And I think he's going to be gunning for the knockout. I think the question is, when Wahab hits him, does he respect it or does he just walk through it? And I think that's the question that I have. I don't really know how good Wahab is. I'm not going to count him out. But if he struggled against Dylan, man, I just don't think he's going to have too much success against a guy like Mark Chamberlain on the night. So I think it happens within 7, bro. What about you? Do you think it goes past that? Do you think it goes the distance? What do you think?
That's the thing. Like, his chin is such a wild card. But,
yeah,
just say if he's getting a draw in the UK, I mean, then who knows? Then he's probably winning, But if Liam Dillon at 130, like, Mark Chamberlain's big at 135. So, and this guy's made 126 before. He was fighting down at 126 not that long ago. So I think that the size is going to be massive here, and the experience. I think Chamberlain should. If Chamberlain is the real deal at lightweight, if you're going to be a contender, I think you got to stop him within like within 7 or 8. Yeah, I think you got to figure him out. I think like a stoppage mid rounds.
I think we're both on the same page there, bro. I think there's just, we know more about Chamberlain than we know about Wahab. And if Chamberlain is who he says he is and who Turki Al-Sheikh thinks that he is, he's got to look spectacular, because, man, there is greater and bigger fights biting. He can get past this one, man. So let's move forward, man. Very interested in this one right here, bro. Kabayel versus Frank Sanchez, man. Very interesting fight, man. And I'm kind of, it may be hearing your perspective and then me talking through it. I don't know who wins this one for me just yet. I think it could be easy to say Frank Sanchez, but I don't know if that to be true 100% either. But what do you think about this one, man? Does and how well has Frank Sanchez's win against F.A. Ajagba aged?
So yeah, I'm completely with you. It's like the easy pick would be, of course, Frank Sanchez, right? But the more tape, like, I'm very familiar with Frank Sanchez, but the more tape I watch on Kabayel, it's not that so much sticks out to me. It's just that he's willing to engage, willing to fight. He's got a great chin. Like, he showed me a lot in his last fight against Magmadov. I rewatched that. That was an amazing fight. He's got a phenomenal chin, because he was able to take his best punches in the first and second rounds from Magmadov. And you could just see, like, his confidence grow when he knew he could take his best punch. And then the momentum swing, like, Magmadov had no adjustments for Kabayel, who had the better footwork. He could then counter. He's starting to time him. So, that to me was just so impressive, because Magmadov has been winning a lot of his fights off sheer power size.
Strength,
yeah, coming in like he's such an imposing figure. And then you got Frank Sanchez, man, and I'm like, get so frustrated with Frank Sanchez sometimes is that Cuban school of boxing that everybody talks of. Like, for me, it's a blessing and a curse because it's amazing the skill set that they have, that they come out of
Absolutely.
Cuba. But then sometimes you forget that this is prize fighting. Like, you're in the pro game, you know, like Guillermo Rigondeaux is a perfect example. Like, he fights Jean-Briel Casamayor, who barely had any amateur fights, and he's able to outfight Guillermo Rigondeaux. Like, they go on their bike a little bit too much. Robesi Ramirez, a perfect another example, a gold medalist. Like, what I had so many questions against for him when he went the distance with Isaac Dogbo. Like, he never stepped on the gas. He was happy just, you know what, I'll just outpoint him. He never felt like he had to go get in the fight. And then when he got into a fight against Espinoza's next fight, now, like, what are you going to do? And I feel the same way with Frank Sanchez when I'm watching him against Christian Hammer. Christian Hammer, he could touch him up and down. He
Yeah.
could have hurt him at any round he wanted to. He's like,
Good
you know
point.
what? I'll just play it the Cuban way, just lateral movement, you know, touch him up and down. I'm
Hmm.
bigger, stronger. He could do any. But at what point do you come against somebody that now is going to bring a fight to you? That maybe the skill level might still be there, but the fight level, like someone that's going to want it more. So I'm like, Frank, this is the pros I'm watching. I'm like, you got to be able to put Christian Hammer away. So that was frustrating. And then he goes against Carlos Negron and goes 9 rounds with this guy. It's like he should have been his skill up. Like, it's just frustrating. Then I'm watching the Magmadov fight. I'm thinking, if Frank Sanchez is in here, that fight doesn't get stopped in the fourth. He's going another 4 rounds. You know, Frank Sanchez is just gonna try to. So now it's like curious because yes, he's the better boxer. Frank Sanchez has the better skill set, but even though Kabayel is not as skilled as Frank Sanchez, like that heart, determination, the chin, like if he can just almost match him, like if he can just get there a little more, because Kabayel is coming to win, he's coming to press you. Like his footwork's better than F.A. Ajaba. You know,
Yeah.
F.A. was
Yeah.
trying, he's just too slow, too methodical. You know, he's gotten better, but I mean, you can make the case for Kabayel. I'm still think. I mean, I like Fran Sanchez and his skill set, but I think I can explain myself. I think I did when I say like he gets a little bit too comfortable on the back foot when he should press and kind of more worried about maybe trying to win the round, sweep the round when you might, you know, if you're on the back foot that much, you might lose the fight. So
Yeah.
that's my only concern. He's probably going to be sharp early, but if Kabayel's still there, like I'm worried about Sanchez in the second half of the fight.
Man, and Sanchez to me has always been like one of those guys who, look, you can see the talent, man. You can see this. He's a heavyweight that's got really good footwork, light on his feet, hand speed is nice. And when he does let his hands go, I mean, you saw what he did to Junior Fa with that right hand, changed the whole fight just like that. And then it was over with, but it took him 7 rounds. And it was like when, well, 5-6, he landed the shot, and then he was just like, okay, I can dominate this fight. Like, this guy can't hurt me. And that's when he started to let his hands go a little bit more. It's like if he feels like he can hurt his opponent and have his way, then he's going to come out of that shell. Because I think Frank Sanchez is one of those guys, bro, who is comfortable with, I'm just going to box my way to a victory. I'm going to try to make it as boring as I can. I'm going to try to get out of range as much as I can, use the jab, and just do what I need to do. And not really make it that much exciting. I think if it's an exciting fight, I think it leans towards Kabayel because Frank Sanchez doesn't want to come out of that comfort zone and that shell. What I was really impressed with Kabayel, man, was not necessarily too much about the offensive firepower that he put forth, but his movement. I didn't think he moved that well. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I said, when'd you do this in training?
Surprise, too.
Yeah, and the placement in his punches and the patience. And it seemed to me, because, you know, sometimes, you know, different divisions have different things that they say, right? You say the smaller guys have better footwork, the hand speed, this and that. And they say the heavyweights, all they have is like power. That's why when we see a guy like Frank Sanchez or even a Tyson Fury or Usyk and how they move, we're like, whoa, that's crazy. But Kabayel, man, he seemed to look like his IQ is actually pretty good, right?
Crafty.
Like he saw what Makhmadov was doing, and rather than exchanging fire with fire, what Makhmadov wanted to do, because he was a sitting duck, bro. He didn't even try to move. He was like, okay, if that's what you want to do, well, let me figure out different ways how to come in and be effective, even if I'm not throwing as much and just waiting. And I felt like he did a great job of setting traps and turning him in the corner and then letting his hands go. So I don't know, man. I think I don't Frank Sanchez, to me, I don't know about him, bro. and I think you can make a case, and it probably makes sense to say, if Frank Sanchez plays a safe fight and boxes his way to a decision victory. But what happens if he doesn't, if Kabayel hits him and that confidence fades a little bit and he slows down a little bit in the second half of the fight? And if Kabayel judges his energy and his output and he comes on strong in the second half of the fight, I felt like this version of F.A. Ajagba might have given Frank Sanchez a little bit more of a trouble. I'm not saying he would have won, but it maybe give him a little bit more to look forward to. And I think Kabayel poses a big threat, man. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I'm actually having a hard time with this one, bro. It could go so many different ways, and you can make a good assessment and reasons why you can go for Kabayel or Frank Sanchez. Curious, who's the favorite here? Probably Sanchez, probably?
Sanchez is only a 2-1 favorite. I thought it would actually be a lot wider than that. He just has that tendency of playing with his food, and that's great to play it safe. People say, oh, well, why would he, but there's going to be times, where you're going to be forced not to play it safe. And are you going to know what to do in those times? Because when you're forced where you can't play it safe, that's going to play into Kabayel's game. He looks good on the front foot, and people tend to score the front-footed fighter if it comes to that case in the second. Because I don't think he's going to put a clinic on Kabayel. Typically you're going to have to make those boxing rounds very clear, and I don't know how clear it's going to be.
Man, I'm always in this added notion, bro. Like I think every fighter, they may have say 3 spectacular performances, right? And where they're just sharp, they look excellent, but then they're due for one that is not going to be like that. And I think it's that fight for Frank Sanchez, man, bro. I'm going with Kabayel, bro. I think he's gonna get it done. I'm not gonna say by stoppage. I'm not sure how he's gonna get it done, but I think if he can be strategic, bring calculated pressure, engage his energy, because I think Frank Sanchez is gonna come back in the second half. He's gonna be very sharp in the first half. Keep the range, use his jab, keep the distance, and do enough to win the rounds. But I think if Kabayel can hang in there and not get discouraged and not blow his load, pause, at the beginning half, I think he can come on, man. And maybe if he can get the right shot, bro, I think he can get it done, man. So I'm going Kabayel, man. I don't know how, but I'm going to take the risk here, and I'm going to go with Kabayel to win this fight, man. I think even on the night, because they fought on the same card, man, he fought a harder opposition on that night. Junior
much harder.
Yeah, and Arsen Mukhmadov, man, strong power. What happens if Frank Sanchez can't hurt Kabayel? And Kabayel is like, this is all you got? This is the power that you got for me? I don't respect that. Now I'm going to walk through it. And he's big enough to walk through some of these shots. So Frank Sanchez decision is probably the safer bet. It probably makes the most sense. But man, I'm gonna go against the odd this one, man. I'm gonna go Kabayel, man. I think he's going to be the one to throw in a little bit of wrench in the cards tonight, man. I think he gets it done. I don't know how, but I'm going to pick him in this one, man.
So, I just can't get there yet. I just tell you, Magmadov, his feet are horrendous. His defense is poor. He leaves his chin straight up. Just fundamentally, Frank Sanchez is a lot more sound.
100%.
And he is a good round winner. So for me, I could see some real tough moments. I think he's going to be very competitive. I see why the odds are where they are. I think Sanchez probably ekes out a decision. That's why I'm going with this. Yeah, but you know what? I hope he loses. I hope Kabayel, just for those moments where he made me watch some of these lopsided, some of the matchmaking has been horrendous for him recently. So I like the story of Kabayel. That was a massive upset too, by the way. He was not expected to win that. So I like a good underdog story.
So hopefully he brings some of that same thing he did in the last fight, man. Because again, Frank Sanchez, we know what he can do. Spectacular boxer. Decision makes sense. Let's move forward, bro. One of the more intriguing ones on the card, Jai Opetaia versus Mairis Briedis to the rematch. Let me set it up a little for you, bro. We know Opetaia's last 2 fights were against good opponents, not the greatest, and he stopped them both within 5. Now, we haven't seen Mairis Briedis in 2 years. Like we haven't seen him since his last fight. And we know how much inactivity can be against fighters, man. So when you look at this fight in the second time around, bro, what do you think about, man? How do you think this one plays out?
It's hard to make a case for Briedis. That's what I think. Being 2 years inactive, close to 40 now. I mean, Jai Opetaia is one of those guys where I had to, when the first fight, I had to tape him. And then the thing that stuck out to me, one word, was athletic. Freakishly athletic, Jai Opetaia. There's 2 other fighters in the division that have similar traits to me, right? When I think Jai Opetaia, I put these 3 together. David Morrell and Boots Ennis. Not only are they freakishly athletic, they have power in both hands. They're highly skilled. They may not have the best resumes yet, all 3 of them. And I can see why a lot of people don't want to fight them. But they need, those other 2, they need their Briedis moment. That's what they need, So it's like resumes don't win fights. It's like people are thinking Jai Opetaia when he beat Briedis, but, it's not who you fight. It's how you look against who you fight. And Jai Opetaia looks like the real deal. And everyone else he fought, he looked like the real deal. Just like when we picked Lauren Price over McCaskill, right? Lauren Price had fought nobody, but she looked the part going into against McCaskill. So you got these champions against these undefeated contenders. And, they live up to what we think they're going to live up to. That's kind of like Jai Opetaia now. We've seen him. He's been active his last 2 fights. He's looked amazing. And I think the confidence now, he knows like he's on the world. So like Briedis is, he had Usyk in a close fight. That was his only loss going into this. Like he was walking around with, one of the best cruiserweights to ever live, competing. So how good is Jai Opetaia? Like I don't think we've seen the best of him. It's just hard to make that case for Briedis, man. I like Jai Opetaia a lot. I really do. So it's just, I think not only do I think he's the real deal, like you get names on the resume, man. I think he's going up to heavyweight, and I think we're going to see some like ridiculous heavyweight matches to come. There's no names at cruiserweight. Unfortunately, this is a rematch, but Briedis is the best name at cruiserweight. What are you thinking? Yeah,
but we know Briedis is as tough as they come. I mean, both of these cats. Opetaia fought with a broken jaw, bro. Like, how many cats do you know are fighting with a broken jaw, right? And Briedis was battling his own stuff as well too. So both of these guys, both of these guys can hurt each other. And when you fight once, you know what each fighter is about, but at the same time, psychologically, man, if I beat you once, I can do it again. And the inactivity as the fighter gets older, I kind of look at it as 2 ways, man. Father Time catches up with everybody at some point. But sometimes when you're a little bit older, sometimes less is more. Sometimes fighting less keeps you a little bit more fresher. And, when you got a broken nose, you want as much time as you want to recover from that. But the scar tissue is still there. The nose is still damaged, never fully recovers. So that's one way. And then the other way is just like, man, I'm going to be a lot more rusty. And Briedis came out slow in the first part of the fight. Opetaia looked sharp like a razor in the early part of the fight, and he finished strong. And so I think it's going to be interesting, man. I think Opetaia in his recent 2 fights, we talked about Sanchez playing with his food. Like Opetaia doesn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't have time for that. Like he comes in knowing he's supposed to make a statement, and that's exactly what he does. Zoro Ellis, stopped him in the first round. Jordan Thompson stopped him in the 4th round, and they were kind of similar skill sets. That would probably be a good fight, Ellis and Thompson. Yeah,
they're not bad fighters either. That's the case. Exactly. They're not bad fighters, and we're undefeated. Like that means a lot to me. You come in undefeated, like those fighters have an aura of confidence. That they don't think they can be beat. They're very confident compared to a fighter coming in the ring coming off a loss. So that says a lot to me for Jai Opetaia to do what he did to 2 undefeated fighters.
I saw a recent video, TJ, of Jai Opetaia talking about Mairis Briedis, and he was just like, man, like this is a guy that I used to look up to. And then he said he did something, and he was like, I just don't respect him like that anymore. And to me, I'm a mannerisms guy, bro. Like I don't really care too much about what a person says. 9 times out of 10, if somebody says I'm going to knock this guy out, it usually go the distance. But he seems like a guy, especially from this interview that I've seen, he's coming in to finish what he started. And I don't think he wants to make it close. I think in this fight, man, I'm going Opetaia by stoppage, bro. I just think the inactivity is going to work against Briedis this time around. I'm not sure that he has the athleticism to be able to keep up with Opetaia this time around. Might have the experience, the IQ, but man, like Opetaia, is he even 30 yet?
No. I think he's like, what is he, 27? He's young. He's young.
So,
He's like right in the prime, like his prime age right now.
and I think that's going to work in his favor, the youthful side of things. And, you know, I was really impressed by his accuracy in his last two fights, man. He didn't seem like he was ever in a rush for the fight to close out. He was never in a rush to force the fight. It's like, I'm gonna get him and set it up perfectly right where I need him, and then I'm gonna make it happen. And to me, I just think he's operating right now with a level of confidence that I can beat anybody. And that's not cruiserweight, that's heavyweight, that's whomever I get into the ring with. And as you said at the beginning, it's hard to make a case that Briedis is going to win this fight because there's just so much against him. Honestly, we don't know what the heck he's going to look like. It's been 2 years, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know what you've been doing to. I haven't seen no videos. I don't know what the hook is like. I don't know what the jab is like. Is the belly? I don't know what you look like, bro. It's tough, you know. Great fighter, but I think sometimes time passes great fighters, and I think it's Jai Opetaia's time to solidify this next best cruiserweight / heavyweight. I think it's his time, man. So I think Opetaia by late stoppage. You think this card? You think it goes the distance? You think it's decision? What do you think?
I mean, if Opetaia is the real deal, he's already shared 12 rounds with him. He now has that like championship level experience. I really I gotta see a knockout from this kid. Like for me, I hold him that highly. Where 12 rounds not gonna do it. Like I want to see the adjustments. I want to see that first half of the fight and the second half of the fight now, because he had an amazing first half of the fight. So I can see 7-12 knockout. And then I tell you what, I know this is a little crazy, but I would love to see him then jump up to heavyweight. Maybe Michael Hunter or Justus Huni, Kevin Lorena, have a fight at heavyweight, and then go right to Usyk. I would love to see right now. And because Usyk's, they're around the same size. And Usyk and Opetaia fight. I know we're gonna talk later, but man, I would love that fight. You have these two cruiserweights now at heavyweight, and we saw that Gassiev did it. Gassiev versus Opetaia would be a great fight next time. But man, I love this kid, but he's got to come through. He's got to show it at in this fight with Briedis. But I think he's gonna get the stoppage.
Man, let me ask you this: do you have any interest in possibly seeing, say, like Jai Opetaia, Richard Riakpo?
No.
No.
Okay,
fair enough.
I mean,
fair
it's
enough.
also, he's got a fight with Chris Billum-Smith coming up. I just don't think they're on, they're not. I'm sure it would be good if he's going to stay there at cruiserweight, but I mean, he's a big cruiserweight too, I just think the big names, the big fights, the big money, like everything we want to see. Big Baby Anderson's up there, that would be a great fight. There's just so many more intriguing fights at heavyweight, So that's for me. I don't. We'll see.
Him and Big Baby Anderson would be a good fight, man. I'd love to see it.
Oh man, yeah. Big Baby's young too. He's what is he? 24. So I mean, there's some really good fights to come.
Man, let's keep it pushing, bro. Let's talk about Joel Cordina, Anthony Cacace, man. I think this is going to be an interesting fight, man. What do you think about this one? How you think this one goes?
Man, Joel Cordina, Anthony Cacace. And it's funny those names, because you would think they're like names from guys from my neighborhood where I live, but they're from the UK. Usually you got two UK fighters. It's like Callum is fighting Liam, right? You got Cordina and Cacace, yeah. But man, I've been watching a lot of Joe Cordina. The problem that I have with super skill, the Welsh Wizard, I like him. But I think he kills himself to make 130. It's one of those things, like when you start your career, you usually start at a weight and you go up. He started at 135. He went down. He was so it's like, and I get it. It's a big advantage, but at some point, which I've been noticing, because I tried fading him last fight against Edward Vasquez. I thought even Edward Vasquez, who's a 126 pounder going up to 130, I'm like, Cordina, sometimes that weight cut is, I don't know, man. Like, there's a thin line between weight bully and weight drained. Because if you're weight drained, your chin isn't the same, your power's not the same, your stamina's not the same, you know? And Cordina's so skilled, but he gets dragged into fights that he shouldn't be into. And then it's a
Yeah.
battle of attrition, and it's how much you got there. So, I mean, I like Joe Cordina. He's more skilled than Anthony, but Anthony's not a bad fighter. He's got a lot of heart. It says he's a southpaw and box rec, but he really fights orthodox. But he switch hits a lot. You know, he's tall. He's lengthy. He's gonna come to win. This is his big moment. It reminds me a little bit of, because he's from Northern Ireland, like Sean McComb. Sean McComb just had that fight with Arnold Barbosa, where he was able to use some of that reach, walk him into shots. You know, Arnold Barbosa just comes forward, but skill for skill, I think Cordina's the better fighter. You know, he can make more adjustments than Barbosa. So I'm leaning Cordina, but I'll tell you what, not confidently. I think Cordina is due for some more scary moments. He's been in close fights. He hasn't had many dominating fights. Even if you look back, some of his fights are not, you know, for where he is right now. They're like, he's just not dominating opponents. I scored that last fight a draw, 6-6 with Edward Vasquez. I could see 7-5 either way. And if you are the real deal, I mean, come on. Like, Vasquez, I like Vasquez, but he's a 126 pounder. Like, you should be able to dominate. We shouldn't be sweating on the scorecards. And I think he's still going to be good enough to beat Anthony, but I think Anthony's going to have his moments here. It's probably, probably Anthony will have his moments. But, you know, that's just Cordina's weight cut. I don't know.
Man, Cacace is better than I thought. You know, I had seen him fight a couple of times. I wasn't too familiar with him, and I was like, yo, this guy's confident. Like, there are guys like that fight with a confidence and belief. Like, you know, he's not afraid to fight if the fight is an ugly fight. He doesn't have crazy amount of power, but he's got good hand speed, man. He's fast. He seems to be like a pretty smart fighter. Like, he'll set you up into shots. And the thing is, when you're not a big puncher, you got to be dang near accurate. And I think he is pretty accurate, slick with the shots. He looked okay in his last fight. I thought he started off slow and came back. The thing with Cordina, man, is he has been in some close fights, bro. They haven't been unanimous decision, not against Rakimov or Vasquez. They've been tough, hard, like I have to work to win type of fights. And that's like what you want. I think offensively, Cordina has all the goods, bro. Like, you've seen him long enough to know, man. I think when he fought Kenichi Ogawa, like, I went with him to beat Ogawa. And, you know, he hadn't really shown that he could do that yet. But there's just something about him that I like. I'm not sure if it's, you know, maybe because I like offense so much and I like hand speed, or if it's like this belief that, man, I can be the best, because I think that he can. Vasquez gave him a harder fight than Rakimov did, in my opinion. The overhand rights were effective and were landing cleanly, that Vasquez was putting forth. It just seemed like he was working a lot harder to win that fight. He did have some really good rounds, but it was also just like, man, like, something is off. So maybe it is the weight cut. I don't know. He just didn't look like that same guy that I was kind of used to seeing. So I think it's going to be interesting, man. I think if he overlooks Cacace, I think he could lose this fight. But he is way more popular than Cacace as well, too. So, you know, we've seen what political things can do enough times to know that if it's a close fight, Cacace probably is not going to get the nod. But I'm still going with Cordina, man. Haven't rooted against him yet, and I don't think this is the fight to root against him. I think Cacace is going to have to be dang near perfect. I think Cordina is due for another spectacular performance, or he's due for a rough one. It's just, which one is it? I'm choosing to believe it's going to be a not going to say spectacular. If he's spectacular, he's got to stop him, which he could. You know, maybe the right shot, the uppercut. He's got good hand speed, good counter puncher. But I don't think it's going. I think it's going to be one of those fights where he's going to win, but it's not going to be too impressive. I hope I'm wrong because I really like Joe Cordina, but I think he's got to be careful, man, because I think Cacace right now, he has all to gain, and if he loses, it's whatever. You get a payday, and I think Cordina, the way how this division is set up for possible, title shot next to unify the division, I think he needs to look good in this fight. He hasn't looked good in his past 2 fights, and I think he has to look good for his name to at least stay relevant in the mix. But I think he gets it done, man. I'm gonna say decision. I'm gonna go with Cordina by decision. I think that makes sense. But Cacace isn't one to be played with.
No, and this is his big moment. I mean, this is his life-changing moment. And like you said, Cordina's due for either a really good performance or he's due for maybe a bad performance. I can't but the best version of Cordina is going to beat the best version of Anthony Cacace. Like that, I'm confident,
100%.
right? So I got to expect the best version of Cordina, and the best version will probably maybe get a knockdown and then points. I think Anthony's coming in tough. And he is tough, and I think it could be relatively close, but I think Cordina is gonna get it done like he usually does. He's a winner. He finds a way to win. So,
and I don't think it's gonna be as physical as a fight as the ones that he's been getting used to. Like Shavkat Rakhimov, man, and he's coming off 2. He's lost his last 2 fights as well too. But his Zelfa Barrett win looks pretty good. But then you say, Zelfa Barrett didn't hurt himself. What would that have looked like? Because Zelfa Barrett was fighting an excellent fight until he wasn't, right? So I think Cordina gets it done here, man. But I want to see him fight extremely well and make a statement, even if he doesn't get a stoppage. Like beat him up good, right? Because I think there's more than one way how to dominate a fight. It's not always by stoppage. Because I think the man's offensively, I think he's an extreme talent, man. But if he is having problems with the weight cut, man, it's like now or never, bro. Because 135 isn't getting easier either if you choose to move up. You know what I'm saying? So
and there's so many good names at 130. Like I want to see Shockey Foster Cordina fight. Like these. Yeah. We want to see as boxing fans, when you have a champion, you want to see unification fights. We don't want to just keep seeing these mandatories. So it would be nice to see him, in some of these really good fights with champions.
Let's keep it going, man. Let's go to the main card, bro, because again, there's a lot at stake here. And I have a soft spot for the heavyweight division because when I came to Canada, man, I saw Mike Tyson fight. The first fight I ever saw. And I was like, yo, so heavyweights can be like this chiseled and this ripped. Obviously, Tyson Fury was named after Mike Tyson, but he's a different type of heavyweight. And obviously Usyk is moving up from cruiser to heavyweight, and he's kind of found his way and settled into the groove. This fight was rescheduled, and I actually think this serves Tyson Fury a little bit better because it was moved. I saw the picture. Maybe you saw it as well too. He looks in shape. This is the Tyson Fury that we're used to, not that nonsense garbage looking like when he fought Francis Ngannou, looking like he just got off the couch. But this is going to be an interesting fight, bro. A lot at stake here, man. How do you think this one goes, man? Give me everything that comes to your mind here, bro, because there's a lot to unpack here, man.
I mean, he's dealing with Usyk, who, skill for skill, one of the best fighters to ever lace up gloves. He's like a beautiful fighter to watch, everything he's capable of. And the AJ fight cemented that. With AJ, I'm a Anthony Joshua fan. I like Anthony Joshua. The problem was, or the good thing about Anthony Joshua is he's so boxing fundamentally sound that he was able to outbox anybody. You put anybody in front of him in the heavyweight division, he's the better boxer. Yeah. Usyk came along, and now for the first time ever, Anthony Joshua had in front of him somebody that was a better boxer than him. And Anthony Joshua, as much as he's a boxer puncher, he's a great finisher, but everything relies off his boxing ability, his feints, his jab, his footwork setup, Now he's a half a step behind Usyk because Usyk just does everything better. He's got great ring IQ. He can read what Joshua's doing, They both are great amateurs. So, I mean, I can't, as much as I watch those fights with Anthony Joshua and Usyk, like, Tyson Fury is a completely different type of fighter. He's kind of like, one, you're not going to get sparring for a Tyson Fury because his dimensions, and then just, he's not awkward. He's just
No,
a
he's
difficult guy to figure out. And he's really the
yeah,
essence of like a hot and cold fighter. And when you say, well,
yeah,
what do you mean by hot and cold? Well, he looked, say, cold against Otto Wallin, but when he's hot, you see what he does to Dillian White and Derek Chisora. Like, they don't even look like they belong in the same building as him. You say, yeah, well, it's Derek Chisora. Well, that was a recent fight, and Derek Chisora also gave Usyk some
a
problems. Like,
tough fight.
one of the judges almost had that draw. It was 115-113. That Derek Chisora. So Tyson Fury went in and just played with him, knocked him out whenever he wanted to. And the same with Dillian White. So that wasn't that long ago. So I don't want to hear, however this fight goes, that Tyson Fury was washed up because the Francis Ngannou fight. Like, that fight aside, like, he does fight hot and cold, but I'm expecting the best version that I've seen of Tyson Fury. That's how I got to think going into this. He knows what's at stake. He looks great from sparring, and so I'm expecting the best version of Usyk going into this. And, when the fight was announced, I'm thinking, how is Usyk going to close the distance on Fury? Fury, he has awkward, foot movement, his
Yeah,
upper body, like, he's defensively sound. He's hard to hit flush, but then he does struggle with smaller guys like Steve Cunningham. He struggled with Steve Cunningham. He got dropped by Steve Cunningham. But there's something about Fury. I mean, I remember I was in Manhattan at this bar called Legends watching Fury Wilder, the first fight. And I'll never forget that 12th round when Fury got dropped and it looked like he was knocked unconscious and he was able to get up. And it's not that he got up, it's that he went on to outbox and beat Wilder for the rest of that round. Like, that left a
yeah,
lasting impression on me, because no matter how many gold medals you get, accolades, this or that, like, that's that's not something that you learn. Like, that's in your genetics, that's in your DNA. Like, not to quit. Like, he's just the natural born fighter. So he might not be the better boxer going into this, but I just think there's something about Fury where he's able to rise to certain occasions. So I think it's more of an uphill battle for Usyk, believe it or not, going into this than, say, Fury, even though Fury's coming off the Francis Ngannou fight. I mean, that's how I've looked at it. Watched a lot of tape on both these guys, and Usyk is great. He has been in close fights though, and the cards have been close going into this. So, it's not easy to get dominating rounds off of Fury because of his size. And, he does have power. He has a lot of things. So sometimes it's not the skills pay the bills in it. So it's a 12-round fight. And I mean, I'm just interested to see how the first few rounds go in this. And I think it's kind of dictate where the fight's going to go, honestly.
man, it's like for Usyk, it's like, how do you find a sparring partner that's 6'9", 270 pounds? like the dimensions in Tyson Fury, like, it's just hard to find that.
That can move. Yeah, he can move. Most of those guys can't move at that size.
And Tyson Fury, like, he's a natural, like, boxer. He's just a big heavyweight. Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's got 24 knockouts. Like, yeah, he stops cats. But to me, he's a guy that, man, he wants to box first. And I think he gets better when the pressure is on more and when he gets hit and when he gets touched up. When I mentioned Usyk, bro, like, and just talking to different people, especially on the channel, man, the moment I mentioned Usyk and Fury, they're like, man, Usyk's gonna box this guy's head off. And I'm just like, I don't know that to be true. Like, it's really hard to say. And there's people who their bias is strictly on Usyk, and they say, man, he's been dominant in the heavyweight division. And I'm like, yeah, he's beat everybody, but you can't say he hasn't been touched. Like, even the Joshua fight, his face wasn't the cleanest. Joshua fought a much better second half of the fight, and it would be interesting to see. I don't want to see the rematch, a trilogy, but it would be interesting now because Joshua and Davidson seem to be able to work together cohesively. So maybe that's a different fight. Man, you mentioned the Chisora fight, bro. I can't get that fight out of my mind, man, because Usyk was in trouble there for a little bit there, man. The physicality of Derek Chisora, it gave him some problems. And you would have to think that Tyson Fury, being as big as he is is going to come in and be the more physical, aggressive, imposing figure. But we said that against AJ, and AJ didn't do that. But Fury knows how to use his size, right? You've seen Fury and Deontay Wilder, some of the subtle stuff that he was doing on the ropes, putting all of his weight on him, tiring out the legs a little bit.
He used his size, he made the adjustment, and then used his physicality. That's what got me thinking, he's got some ring IQ, like for outlandish that he is.
He knows what to do, right? And he's a veteran in the sport, as both of these guys are. And it's crazy because Fury's the younger fighter as well, too. So it's going to be very interesting for me to see the adjustments that both of these guys make and what Fury does come out and do. Is he going to come out and try to feel out, just try to see the timing of what Usyk is going to be? It's hard to hit a smaller fighter, but once the bigger fighter comes in and imposes his will and size on the smaller fighter, he should be able to start to dominate the fight. And I think when you fight a guy like Tyson Fury, like, it's not just the physical presence. He's got strong IQ and he can move. Like, that's a challenging part of it too. It's not a heavyweight, like, example, Arsen Mukhmedov, who we just talked about, who is just right there. But Fury's got to be able to cut off the ring because Usyk can box his way to a victory, right? He knows he may not have the power like that, but he moves well, smart IQ, constant movement. How are you going to slow him up? Daniel Dubois hit him with a body shot that's considered a low blow. That slowed him up a little bit. The pressure of a Derek Chisora, the physically being in his face, that slowed him up a little bit, but he was still able to maneuver out of that and still box his way to a victory. Both of these guys, TJs, are winners. You know what I'm saying? So they both have that thing inside of them to find a way how to come out on top. The question I'm going to ask you, man, can Usyk hurt and discourage Tyson Fury enough to make him respect the power? And can Fury hurt Usyk? When you look at it that way, does that change anything for you?
First, can Usyk hurt Fury? I'm sure, you know what it is? Even if Usyk doesn't have the power, he's got the timing. And, he could catch him flush. Usyk has phenomenal timing and hand speed. So, if Fury overcommits or is sloppy, I could see, Fury getting dropped. Definitely. And on the flip side, Usyk's been shown to have a dynamite chin. Usyk's is strong. And I made the comparison of Fury getting up, but that doesn't mean that that Usyk doesn't have that either. We just haven't seen that. But I just know how much of a fighter Fury is, and I'm sure Usyk is too. But Fury's been down before, and it doesn't seem like it's deterred him from bigger punches. We've seen him down multiple times. It's just he was down against Francis Ngannou in his last fight. So I think Usyk can hurt him, but not to the point where it's going to keep him off of him. I think that's the big thing. And you brought up Magmadov and these large heavyweights. There's so much different just because their feet, Magmadov specifically, their feet have to be planted when they throw. Just like F.A. Ajaba, their feet have to be planted when they throw. Fury's it's an odd thing because Fury throws off the bounce. So his feet doesn't have to be planted to throw. So he's very comfortable throwing off the bounce with the jab, following up with the right hand. Most heavyweights aren't throwing power punches off the bounce. It's just not happening. He's able to do that off the back foot, off the front foot. So, and when you're able to do that, that means you don't have to keep resetting every time there's a jab in your face. Magmadov had to keep resetting so he couldn't get his power shots off. By the time he resets, the fighter with the better lateral movements off to the left and to the right, they're not in front of you. Tyson Fury doesn't have that issue because he's so fluid with his footwork and his movement. So I don't think it's going to be as much of an issue. It's just that, is he going to have the right game plan, and is Usyk going to have the right game plan? We got to see, what's going to come into this. But I don't know. I don't think they're going to hurt each other. I think it's a distance fight, to be honest with you.
I think this delay for Tyson Fury, man, really could work in his favor. It's tough, bro. When fights are rescheduled, prime example, Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez. 9 times out of 10, Teofimo Lopez beats Kambosos. Great night for George Kambosos, but he hasn't really had great nights after that fight, and Teofimo has. But the delay after the delay after delay after all the stuff worked to Kambosos' favor because he seemed to be just much more locked in than Teofimo was. And I think the delay in this fight actually allowed Tyson Fury to get back into fighting shape and whatever injuries that he's had able to recover. So it's tough to keep that same intensity and momentum and confidence when the fight's been delayed. Usyk was coming in with all of the momentum coming in, and then it just stopped dead like that. So I don't know. Maybe me mentioning that means something. Maybe it means absolutely nothing. That's the thing. We'll see how it goes on the night. But I think it's going to come down to adjustments, man. Who's going to be more patient? And it's tough to say, bro. But I think for me, man, I'm going to go with Fury as I kind of always thought. I know how good Usyk is. I know how talented he is. I know how skilled he is. I know how smart he is. I know all of that. And you can make a case for either guy winning the fight. I think it's a close fight, and I think it's one of those fights where it's like a split decision type of thing, man. And if Tyson Fury gets knocked down, maybe that's good for him because when he's gotten knocked down before, he seems to dial in a lot more. But I think if he gets knocked
recently with Inoue. I said as soon as that knockdown happened, that was the best thing that happened to him because now he was locked in and he wasn't going to let that same shot happen again. So I thought it really flipped the switch for Inoue. The knockdown absolutely. Early in a fight.
So I'm going Tyson Fury by decision, man. Some type of split decision. But I think it's going to be a close fight. And it may not be as exciting as we want it to be. It might be one of those chess match type of fights. But the winner, man, it's going to be great to see that undisputed heavyweight, man. What do you think, man? Where are you leaning in this one, man? Where does it come down to?
Yeah, I've always had given Fury an edge in it, and I still think Fury's got the edge in it with the size, and the fact that he's able to fight a more physical fight than say Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua did make good adjustments, but I just feel like Tyson Fury can lay on you a little bit more. He can use his size a little bit more to his advantage, where I thought maybe AJ couldn't, or cut the ring off as much. Man, it's not going to be easy to get on the inside against Fury either. So I don't know. I think it's going to be close, but I don't think it's easy to win clear rounds off of Fury because of how he fights. That's what I'm really thinking. So I think Fury might have more clear rounds than Usyk. So going into it, it could be a majority decision, split decision, but I think the decision is going to fall with Fury. I got Fury winning by decision.
Man, before we close out, bro, any last thoughts, man? Any last words? I actually want to ask you one more quick question about a future fight happening in August, man, with Bud and Madrimov, man. What are your early thoughts on that fight, man? Because again, boxing can be very biased. I think it's a tough fight for Bud, but. What do you think about that, man? Just your early thoughts on it. And it's a really good card too, bro.
Phenomenal card. One of the best cards of the year. A really, really good card. I mean, look, Madrimov, a lot of people don't know him. He's got to be one of the top 154 pounders there is. I mean, he's athletically gifted as well. Bud's in a tough fight. I mean, he's going up to 154 for anybody that doesn't think so. And Bud is like, if I have a favorite fighter in all the sport of boxing, it's Bud Crawford. Like, I love Bud, everything about Bud. He came up from 135. He's at 147 at welterweight. Has yet to go the distance at welterweight since he comes up. And he's one of those guys so talented. He's such a great pure boxer. He could choose to outbox you all 12 rounds. He could make you miss and make you pay. He doesn't. He flips the switch and he goes for the knockout because that's just the type of dog he is. Like, there's something about him, And I think with Madrimov, oh man, it's just a great fight because people got to watch more of Madrimov, I just wish he was a little bit more known because I feel like if Bud does get a stoppage, like, he won't get the credit that maybe he deserves because obviously there's bigger names at 154, whether it's Fandora, Tim Tszyu, but I feel like Madrimov is right there, if not, but I would pick him to beat Lubin You know, Madrimov,
Yeah.
Erickson, there's so many great names at 154, but it's such a great stylistic matchup. Like as a hardcore boxing fan, like wow, Bud versus Madrimov, it's great.
In that whole card, bro. That's gonna be an exciting one, man. But man, just want to get your thoughts on it, bro. We'll probably break that one down a little bit later as the time comes, man. But again, bro, I appreciate your time as always, man. Thank you for taking the time to come on, man. Any last comments on this card, man? Anything in your mind? What you got for me, man?
That's it. You know, I just hope that the scoring, you know, it sucks that I gotta say this, but it's like every week there's scorecards that are absolutely atrocious,
Oh
ridiculous,
yeah,
or yeah, you know, I just guys, you know, put so much effort and work into having a fight camp and then they're not rewarded by even scorecards. And this specifically has to do with Fury and Usyk. If Usyk, you know, if we all think that Usyk wins, I hope that Usyk wins. We know they're talking
yeah.
about a Fury AJ fight, but you know, if it's, I just hope they're fair scorecards. That's what we want as boxing fans. That's all.
And I hope we get that, bro. You know how things can be, popularity and political side of things, man. But
100%. Yeah.
that's my thoughts. That's TJ's thoughts. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, man. We would love to hear from you again. TJ, appreciate your time as always, my guy. You know, it's always love
Same,
from me
man.
to you, man. And we'll see you next time, bro.